Bella Salon and Day Spa, located at 41 West Main Street in Northeast Pennsylvania, proudly supports Chautauqua Sunrise and its volunteers. More information at bellasalonanddayspa.net. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District, with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. From the Access Channel 5 studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Channel 5. Continuing the traditions of Senior Report, we are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week, countywide, from 9 to 10 a.m. Join us by calling in live, emailing us, or checking out our social media. And now, from the Channel 5 studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Good morning. I'm here for Doc Hamels, who's away on vacation. I'm Vicki Westling, the guest host. So why don't we hear from Doc?
Good morning, everyone. This is Doc Hamels. I don't have my regular crew here. Randy, I happen to hold my own camera. Jeff, you're just going to have to do the best with the sound and light. I just want to say hello from Old Town San Diego. This is sort of a historical site, right smack dab in San Diego, and there's the influence of the Spanish culture and Native Americans, and of course the American settlers over the years. And this is sort of like a village and a museum all rolled into one, with lots of little shops and lots of history. I want to thank Vicki Westling for covering me for today, and I hope the show's going well. And I want to say hello to Kevin. Thanks for being our guest on Chautauqua Sunrise. We'll give you another shout probably later in the week, and stay tuned, stay warm, and everybody be well. And hey, go to the Ice Festival. It's supposed to be a great day today. Take care.
Thank you. Before we get started, let's talk about the Ice Festival. It is this morning, this morning, I didn't have the stuff for the Ice Festival. Oh, there we go. President's Day Weekend Winter Festival, February 13th through 15th at the Mayville Lakeside Park. It opened last night at 6 o'clock. Their fireworks are tonight at 8, so everybody should come out and enjoy. And then we also have the 1000th Saturday morning TV celebration, which is on Saturday, February 28th. There will be open house here at Access Channel 5 on Academy Street. Come join us to support the Senior Report shows with our dear friend, long past Reed Powers, what he did for many years, and the Chautauqua Sunrise show since 1995. Again, the President's Day Weekend Winter Festival is today and tomorrow only, so don't forget that either. And then one more public service announcement, if I may. Cancer seems like it's prevalent in everybody's minds. Karen Kotulski-Tremuta, there will be a benefit for her tomorrow at the Clarion Hotel in Dunkirk from noon until 4 p.m. This is a family-friendly event. There'll be music by Tom Bender Music, basket raffles, special raffles, Garth Brooks tickets, photos from people from from Frozen, Elsa. It'll be a full family function. Karen taught at the Fredonia Baptist Christian Nursery School for 31 years, so if you can go out to that would be great. And before we get started, just happy Valentine's Day to my significant other and best friend for many, many years, my husband, Richard Westling. I'll be home soon, honey. And our guest today, Kevin Sanvidge. Kevin is the CEO for the Chautauqua County I.D.A., And with him, we have Michelle Turner, our Vice President of Marketing for the I.D.A. So having said all that, because economic development and industrial development in our county is something that we all look forward to and we all need, please feel free to call in for 753-5225 if you have any questions for Kevin or Michelle or myself. And with that, Kevin, I'm going to let you get started, but before I do, you had said when you took over this position that you were going to wait 6 months before making any changes. How's that working out for you? What kind of changes should we expect?
Well, that's a great question, Vicki. I took the first 6 months to learn the lay of the ground in the economic climate of Chautauqua County. I think, as most people realize, I was in retirement for 3 years. I was fortunate to retire at a rather young age. In about April of last year, I received a phone call from County Executive Horgan and asked if I would be interested in the job of Chief Executive Officer of the I.D.A., and I said, no, I don't think so. But fast forward a couple weeks, I was in Florida. I said, I'll be home in May. I'd love to sit down and talk to you. We had one meeting that lasted about 2 hours. And it was a great meeting. It was one of those, it was a life-changing event for me, meaning I sat down, I was so comfortable with the county executive. I told him I had a few non-starters. One, I didn't want to be involved in politics. I said, I'm not going to. I mean, that's very important to me. If I come back to work, I want to do it. I don't want to have that on my plate. And I realized very quickly that Vince was, he had 28 years in the Air Force. He had his career at the American Red Cross. He was, you know, he wasn't doing this. He had the attitude that he didn't have to worry about getting reelected. And he was going to make decisions based on what he thought was best for Chautauqua County. And that really struck home for me. I said, I could partner. I would like to be part of Vince's
You know,
team.
he is one of the most non-political county executives that I think that I've ever met. He truthfully is. I mean, he is just right there, and he really looks for the good for the people. So, you know, just can't say enough good things about the way he operates.
Yeah. So May 27th, there was a board meeting of the County of Chautauqua I.D.A., and I was appointed to this position. I was also appointed, there's two positions, as the Executive Director of the Chautauqua County Planning and Economic Development Departments. As I said, I took the first 6 months to learn the lay of the land, to get out and meet all the stakeholders in the couny. And I learned quickly that, one, there is a north and a south county, which I'm not being from this area, but I spent a lot of time, almost the better part of 25 years in western New York. So as I analyzed and I looked, I said, it's a difficult climate to attract businesses. I don't believe there's going to be smokestacks built in Chautauqua County. It didn't take long to realize that, but what I did realize is there were some really strong companies that were thriving, and we needed to make sure that we retain these companies and help grow these companies. At the same time, try to attract new companies. I mean, it's, it'd be wonderful if Ford Motor Company would come here and build, but that's maybe not reality. And the more I thought about it, I'm on the board of directors of ECR International, and corporate headquarters is in Utica, New York. And in July, the second Sunday of July, they have what's called a Boilermaker. It's a big it's a running race. It starts at the ECR plant, ends at the Saranac Brewery. There's 20,000 runners. It ends up with 40,000 people for a big family picnic at the brewery. And I'm driving home from that event, and I'm thinking, this is the type of magic that we should be looking at to stimulate the economy. And then I'm thinking, we have Lake Chautauqua. And shortly after that, I met Michelle, and we were talking about that. And I'm thinking, tourism. Let's bring tourism-type businesses here. I think that 40,000 people, $5 million dropped in Utica in 2 days.
Well, and we do a lot for tourism, of course, in the area, and that's a big push. I grew up in Florida, and in Florida, of course, tourists is a big thing. Everybody wants the tourists and the snowbirds and people to come down. But at some point, the living wage has to change, and the living wage doesn't necessarily change because of tourism. The living wage changes because of industry, because of viable businesses, because of things growing and happening to the area. And of course, in this area, too, we have the Lake Chautauqua, we have Lake Erie, we have what's going on in Jamestown with the Lucille Ball, with the Comedy Theater. We have here in Mayville, we have the Chautauqua Institute. So there are a lot of things happening, but those things tend to be seasonal. So when I spoke with the supervisor for the town of Chautauqua, and he said to me, we have the Chautauqua Institute 9 weeks out of the year. So what do we do to sustain the growth that not only allows for tourism, but allows for the living wage?
Right. You know, and when we talk about tourism, it's driving foot traffic into our county. And the more tourism-type businesses and events that we have, more people are going to come here and discover what a great county we have, and the natural resources, and the people that live at Chautauqua Institution, you know, for the 9 weeks that are many of them are very, very successful business people. And we've had inquiries saying, maybe I'm at an age now, maybe I should have a satellite business here so I can spend more time. So the more people that we bring here, the better chance that we have as far as attracting businesses. You know, when I talk about tourism, I'm not giving up on manufacturing. That is our main goal. Those are the jobs that we want to have, so I want to make that perfectly clear. Very shortly after I started the job, there was a rally in Fredonia. You know, it was put together due to the announcement of ConAgra shutting down the Fredonia plant, the loss of over 400 jobs. And the crowd came out. It was inspiring to see these people come together. And I'm standing there, and feeling that this is going to be tough to find jobs for 400 people to attract this type of manufacturing into Chautauqua County. But I love a challenge. We went out, we started looking to see what kind of businesses we could be here, bring to the county. You know, food business is very popular, food processing. I mean, we have our grapes here. And
how is it going with the carriage house facility with ConAgra? Do we have, they're all rumors. Every time you speak with anybody, there's a new rumor.
Yeah.
Somebody else is coming in. What do we really hear? It doesn't look like a solid situation.
Yeah, let me, back in October, I went to the county legislature and first talked to the county executive and asked for a $2 million bond to buy the Dunkirk facility, ConAgra on Talcott Street.
Right.
And overwhelming, a complete majority agreed that to give me this money to buy that property. We're going to close on it next Friday, which is exciting news. We haven't closed on it. We planned on closing by the end of the year. Like everything, there's always a bump in the road. We had some environmental, we had to do the phase 1 environmental. It didn't come back as we were hoping. Now, for 50 years, food has been made in this plant, and the I.D.A. buys it, and we don't pass phase 1. We do phase 2, and we got past phase 2, and we are just now ready to close on the building, which is exciting news. And the exciting news is I think we're going to be announcing very shortly after that we will have somebody that will be moving into that property. And the reason and I'm sorry to interrupt, but the reason that the I.D.A. went on the offense to buy that property, there was a lot of interest to just have it as a warehouse. I'd like to say that we don't have enough warehouses. We have warehouse space, but if it's just a warehouse, maybe you have 10 forklifts. You're just storing things there. We have to have manufacturing there. So it was my feeling, along with Rich Dixon, the CFO of the I.D.A., that we were confident that we could attract a business into there that is not warehousing, that would be actual manufacturing. And so that's going to be some exciting news. Yeah. And
so do we think we have said business?
We do. We do.
That's great.
That's about all I can say right now. Yeah. But we are scheduled to close on the 20th, and hopefully on the 23rd we will have a press conference, and we will let you know about the press conference.
Oh, that'll be great.
So
good.
It is some exciting news, yes.
Yeah, that's good news, because I had heard that they were looking for warehousing facilities for there, and I'm thinking, just as you said, warehouses don't, that's great, but you don't have that many
and that's where, this is the philosophy. I would say, let's go on the offense. Let's go out. Let's kind of take control. Was it a bit of a gamble? Yeah. For me and the I.D.A. to go to the county and borrow $2 million, that was a bold move. Right. But we had the self-confidence that we could get it done, and it looks like it is going to pay off.
One of the other things that came up when I was speaking with the various mayors or supervisors of the villages and towns and cities in Chautauqua County, North and South County, was that pretty much they rely on the Chautauqua County I.D.A. to do any kind of planning, any kind of activity, to look for shovel-ready projects. And how do you bring those people together? What are we doing? Because this is a great place to live. Because, you know, when I have visitors come up from down south or out west to visit us, they say, oh, you know, I want to live here, I want to buy a house here. What a great little place. The kids can walk down the street. I mean, these are comfortable places. You have wonderful art, and yet how do we bring them together to develop a plan or to work on a plan?
Yes.
And do we have a plan?
We do have a plan, and the I.D.A. works closely with every municipality and every business, and this going on the office, going out and attracting businesses. One of the reasons that we hired Michelle was to gather the data that says, okay, these are the businesses we should be going after. When we call on businesses, we say to them, you know, we're the I.D.A. We have tools in our toolbox that can help you succeed that no one else has. We're a public authority. And there's much debate over, you know, the pilot programs that we can offer, the sales tax abatements. But normally, these sales tax abatements or property tax abatements or mortgage recording taxes that we can abate, if we didn't offer these, the businesses wouldn't come, and we wouldn't create these jobs. And it's not forever. It's not like there's going to be no property tax forever. It's it's the first 2 years, and then it ramps up till after 10. You know, in the 9th and 10th year, it's at 80-90%, and then it is 100% taxed. And I firmly believe that what the I.D.A. has to offer to induce businesses to come here and to maintain the jobs that we have. That's why the I.D.A. partners with all the local municipalities.
Well, now, and this is as far as marketing goes, Michelle. One of the things that when I spoke with for polling cars at Erie County, for the county executive there, and I said, what are you all doing? What's happening in Erie County? You've got everything has been, the governor is in, you've got all these things going on, you've got the bills, you have everything happening. How can some of that same activity, or how can some of those resources, can they trickle down? What are we doing? And what advice would you give to our county I.D.A.? And the answer came back, we have people every day on the phones in Albany dealing with these issues, promoting our area. What are we doing here for Chautauqua County?
That's a great question for Michelle. The first day she hit the ground running, and she's ready to tell some more exciting news about what we have going on.
Well, we're working on a number of projects, Vicki. As Kevin said, I was brought into this to not only work with the manufacturing companies and everybody that's currently here, but to reach out and go after tourism-related events, tourism-related businesses, and try and draw more people into Chautauqua County. And I think where we've got it made is where we're situated. I mean, we've got Cleveland, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Canada. I mean, we're surrounded by so much potential. And being in private business or self-employed for years in the real estate business, for 30 years we've had people coming to Chautauqua County to vacation from all of these areas. So we've got a gem here, and so we're just trying to come up and build some new events that'll keep drawing people here, something new and exciting. We're working on a PGA Champions Tour, bringing that to the area here, hopefully. If not in 2015, 2016 for sure. As Kevin mentioned, the Boilermaker, we're doing we're theming a brew maker, and we're partnering with Southern Tier Brewery to make it a tour around Chautauqua Lake. Won't be a race, a cycling tour for people of all ages. Anybody can participate. And that event will be a fundraiser, and the proceeds from that event, which is currently scheduled for August 23rd, will go towards Habitat for Humanity and our local rail trail. So
Have you been in contact with the governor's office or with Albany or with looking for a trickle-down effect? Have you, what kind of results have you
We've
gotten?
had meetings with Senator Young, and she's excited about what we're doing.
Okay.
So she's been very gracious about meeting with us, and we're keeping her updated as everything develops.
Right.
So.
And we have a caller. Shall we take that call?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was wondering, does the I.D.A. only help for bringing new businesses in, or can they help for existing businesses that are here?
We help existing businesses, and that's one of our main focuses, to retain businesses. And one thing that I haven't mentioned yet is we have what's called the Altech revolving loan, where we can loan up to $1 million at 4% interest. And we loan to, some businesses that maybe couldn't get all their funding from a bank. And that's a very, very popular piece that we have to help retain businesses.
Can you do something like pilots for existing businesses as well, or?
You can do pilots. You can do pilots if there's going to be an expansion, any creation of jobs, or an investment in new equipment.
Okay, and then the last question I had is, do you help start businesses from scratch too, or is there somewhere else you have to go?
We do help, and directly we do not help, but we support and help finance the Small Business Bureau of Chautauqua County.
So would you help develop the plan
Absolutely.
for that business?
We will send them to the small business at Jamestown Community College, and they will sit down and they'll help put a business plan together. They will help you be prepared to go to a bank with your business plan, with your 3 to 5 year plan to show exactly. And I strongly suggest anybody thinking about going into business take advantage of that.
And how would they contact you? How would they get information on that?
They can call the Chautauqua County I.D.A. at 661-8900. And ask
so would
for,
you suggest calling you first versus anyone else?
Yeah, you know what? I would absolutely call my office first and call me. You can call me personally, and we will put you in the right direction.
All righty, thank you very much.
Great. One other thing that I'd like to talk about, well, let's stay on the tourism before I go back to
okay.
because this is important, and Michelle is dancing around it, and she said, you better not talk about this too much. When Michelle was very new to the job in the beginning of November, we went out, we were making sales calls. They're our customers. The Peak and Peak is one of our customers, bought out of bankruptcy in 2011 by the Scott family from Erie, Pennsylvania. So we made a sales call, we sat down and talked to them, and they've invested $10 million into their property, and they said, we have these 2 golf courses, we're just not seeing the traction that we would see. We were hoped to see here, and it's beautiful. If anybody's ever played golf or just gone there, the upper course is gorgeous, the lower course is fantastic also. I said, well, you used to have professional golf here. It was the nationwide. It was kind of like the AAA of golf.
Right.
And I said, could you go back and look at any of the data? Did that drive foot traffic here? And they said yes. They said, but we can't afford that. That's, it's expensive to bring professional golf here. So I asked if we could do a little due diligence and look into it. And this is where Michelle got involved, and we talked about, maybe we should look at the ladies coming here, the LPGA. And we talked about that, and then we met with the pro, and he said, for the same cost, you could bring the Champions Tour here, which is the seniors. And the seniors now is everybody over 50. And 14 of these seniors that will are going to play in the Masters this year. It's the Freddie Couples, the Bernheim Langers, the Colin Montgomerys, Fred Funk. It's 81 golfers that will be coming here. So and I'll let Michelle pick up here, through her contacts, we ended up in Jacksonville in December at the corporate headquarters with the executive vice president of the PGA. So I'll let you kind of take it from there, Michelle.
So we reached out to the PGA, and because I had some friends that had been involved with Firestone over the years, most recently, and so they, a few phone calls later, we connected with the PGA. They did their due diligence, checked out the Peak and Peak Resort, absolutely fell in love with it. So they said, this is the type of facility that we want to bring a Champions Tour to. Not only is the golf, their course is PGA rated, but they also have something for the entire family. So if these golfers are going to be there for a week, it's no problem if they want to bring their spouses and their children, because of course, as everyone well knows, the peak has zip lining and skiing and segways. I mean, it's just a great family resort. So we've been in some serious negotiations. We took the Scott family down to PGA headquarters, and we're right now really working hard at bringing this to fruition with some sponsors that are needed to make this happen, and we're really trying to make it come together for September of 2015.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is really great.
And what's exciting about it is the PGA is courting us. I mean, we went after them, and through Michelle's magic of her contact list, we were able to get to the executive vice president of the PGA, and he didn't really want to take our call. It was kind of like, okay, who are these people from New York?
I know what that's like.
You know, who are these people from New York?
It snows up there.
And after about 15 minutes, we could hear him, and he's on his keyboard, and he's trying to spell Chautauqua, I believe, and he finds the Peak and Peak, and then he has this information, and he said, well, you know what, let's talk again over the holidays, and you know, this is looking kind of interesting. The very next day he called back, he says, can you get the Scott family down here? We'd like to meet them. We want to come. You know, this could be a great opportunity to have this type of event in Western New York. It just left Pittsburgh last year, between Ohio, Toronto, Buffalo, right? There is no other golfing event like this. They want to come for at least 3 years. They actually said they would like to make this a destination, a stop, where they, you know, the PGA has been out selling or trying to find, you know, it's a perfect destination, being a resort and the location. So that's very exciting. And
well, I think that's great, and I think that the more things that we do like that do bring people in, and that's wonderful to have that, and especially, and I've been up to Peak and Peak, and it is a family environment, so it is very nice.
The data on that is the average spend when the Champions Tours comes to any city, $15 million is spent in that area in a 7-week period.
7-day period.
Seven-day
period, yeah.
You know, well, that's significant, and we need to, those kinds of things, I think, are great. I think we need to do that. One of the other problems that we have when I've talked with the various people, the various supervisors or managers or mayors, that we have so many towns and villages and cities in Chautauqua County. And you had mentioned the divide between North and South County. And there really is. I mean, it's almost like you're either this end or that end. And I'm somebody, I believe in inclusion. I want to bring things together. I want to bring people together and communities together, not causing them to lose their identity or their autonomy, but bringing them together as a people and as a group and working together. And I think that's been one of the successes in Erie County, whether it's been the governor visiting or whomever. They don't just see Cheektowaga or West Seneca or Williamsville, they see Erie County. And that's what I'd like to see for Chautauqua County. And we have a lot of natural resources here. Our infrastructures in some areas need some help. And that's one of the things that I also discovered was that when a business or an entity wants to come into an area, they look at the infrastructure. They look at your comprehensive plan. They look at your school district, your fire, your police departments. And these things are critical, as well as the tourist industry and the family environment. So while we have some of those things are on the positive, we really need to work on some of the other kinds of things as well. And that brings us down to the ban on hydraulic fracturing, which is another area that's split, you know, because we want to preserve our environment and our water and those things. Hydraulic fracturing sounds like it could somehow compromise the safety of those, and yet on the other hand you think, well, it might bring in business. So how do you balance that? How do you go through there when you talk about businesses and industry coming to the area?
Well, I said I wasn't political because I don't feel like talking about hydrofracking.
Right. No.
But anything is, you know what? So I mean, there's a left and there's two sides to that story.
Absolutely.
But that, you know the success is the governor decided it's not going to happen in New York right now. So I mean, that's not something that's on our plate. But but what the state does have is the Empire State Development. They have their Excelsior program. They have the Startup New York. These are all things that start with the I.D.A. and we bring potential investors or current business owners to the state, put them together, and the state does a great job of helping them decide what is the best, financial program, whether it's grants or loans or whatever, to help grow their business and maintain their jobs.
And do we have a lot of shovel-ready projects in the area?
We
do.
have
some things that are ready to go?
We absolutely do, on both sides of the county. Throughout the whole county we do, and we have a database, so when we receive a phone call, we're able to go into the database and say, okay, we need X amount of acres of land, we need water, we need sewer, we need to have the proper amount of electricity, so we do have that. I am not for, and it may be a bit controversial, of building spec buildings, because I feel the first spec building we build will be too small or too big.
Okay. One of the other things is that we talk about, we've got the tourism and all the things happening. Is there any way that you offer any kind of tax incentives to help movies film in our area? Have you looked at that, about bringing the movie industry in?
We have not. That's one area we have not looked at.
Okay.
But it's a possibility. It's something that we absolutely should look at.
But an offshoot on that, Vicki, is which I think most or a lot of people in Chautauqua County know, is when you bring up a movie, Chautauqua County was featured in House Hunters, which is a national show, international too, actually. But that was just, so our area was featured on national television, and it was debuted on Thanksgiving evening, and that's that show is a 4 to 5 year loop. So this area will be promoted, on national TV on that House Hunters show.
But there is no reason why we shouldn't be. It's just something that we haven't, thought of, to be honest. But that's a great idea.
Yeah, something that we might want to think about. I know that they're doing some of those things up in Buffalo as well. When you talk about bringing businesses into the area and retaining current businesses, I know RHI Monofrax in Falconer has been in the news. A lot's happened there. They've been on strike and they've settled that, and that's brought some people back. The other things that are going on in the area where industry is involved, where you see the little bits and pieces of downsizing, are we doing anything where we work with those individuals, and what do we do?
Yeah, when we go out to manufacturing, the single most first thing that I hear that is an issue with manufacturing all businesses is workers' compensation in New York State. There is many Chautauqua County residents that have businesses right across the line in Pennsylvania because their workers' compensation is 1/10 of what it is in New York. That's something that, you can have a great risk control, you can have safety programs if people don't get hurt, but even with that, the premiums are so high. That is something that I brought up, Startup New York, we have to have some type of fix on workers' compensation. There has to be reform, and that is truly a political issue, mostly downstate, but we are one state.
Right. And I know we're not going to talk about politics.
No, we
but how do you overcome? How do you overcome some of that?
What we do is, there's strength in numbers, and we work with, Senator Young and Andy Goodell, and getting that voice. And the more we do it, and the more they bring it forward to Albany, the more it's heard. There's been a big change in Albany now. The assembly leader is gone. There's a new assembly leader. So you don't know. There's a scaffolding law that's almost, which deals with workers' compensation. So there is some movement. 10 years ago, there was no movement. It was unheard of.
Right.
So there is some movement, and we need to work on that, because that's what I hear everywhere I go. I don't care about Startup New York. I just do something about workers' compensation.
Right, and I know that's a problem. All right, we have another caller. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Vicki.
Yes.
And, good morning, Vicki, Kevin, and Michelle. This is Linda Spalding from the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging. I call in about services primarily with training and job placements for our seniors. I did want to mention that this is the most beautiful area geographically and culturally. It's just amazing. the geography and the culture that we have here, the natural beauty and the history. And I went to the meeting about the future and the support of the Chautauqua Bell. There were over 100 people. It was so impressive, and I was so glad to see the support for the volunteers for that project and for the stage family that has invested so much in that. And it looks like the Bell is going to stay, and that's a real draw for tourism and a real catalyst to help the local businesses. So I'm so happy about that, and it's good to see you on the show.
Yeah, you know, that shows, I was talking to Ben Webb the next day, and he was part of getting the, I believe, 140, 150 people, you know, to come out on, you know, it's not the greatest weather right now, and to show the support, and that's just the strength in numbers, where people, you know, the residents of Mayville said, we need this. This is Mayville. We cannot lose this here. And it was extremely effective, and it just shows that two sides can eventually get together. They may have disagreements, but you can bring people together to solve problems.
That's right.
That's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, Linda, did you have a question, or were you just...
No, I just wanted to say that I really think it's a glorious area. And, of course, I know that you're working hard at building up our businesses since we had such a great loss of our major manufacturing places, especially in Jamestown, the metal manufacturing and the woodworking with the overseas investments. But it's so good to see that the little businesses are springing forth, and thank you for what you're doing at the I.D.A. I would like to mention that there is training available for all of our seniors in the area, Dunkirk at the library, the Brockton Library, the Westfield Library, and also at the Jamestown County Office for the Aging site on 3rd Street. So we do have this training available. We've trained well over 1,000 people, and then when people get past the basics, they go to more advanced studies if they are interested. Also, we do have jobs available with our senior employment program. However, there is a waiting list now because there has been suppressed funding. There are also other services with the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging. The telephone number is on the screen in Mayville, 753-4471. And we also have the Ice Castle Extravaganza today, and it looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that goes well also. Well, thank you, Linda, for calling in. You have a great day.
I wish you a great day and happy Valentine's.
Thank you, you too.
Yeah, that's great.
And you know, that's true. We do have the people in the area come out. I mean, look what they did for NRG.
Yes.
You know, I was one of those standing in the snow, holding up the signs.
Absolutely.
You know, people do come together, and
That's
they do.
collaboration. I think it's just so key.
It really is. It's just amazing to me that when something like this happens.
Another, I mean, probably the best example of having a couple thousand people at Fredonia State.
Oh,
you know, and
was
down
awesome.
there, that saved that plant. That absolutely saved, and that was that was strength in numbers. Get out there, you know, whether it's Mayville and 150 people or thousands of people for these big jobs. Very, very important.
It is, and we have one more call.
Sure.
I have another call. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. This is Jim Parker with Digital. I wanted to call in to support Kevin and Rich and Michelle as, you know, they do a great job. I'm president of Digital, and they've been a great asset to our company. And I just want everyone to know in the county how hard these guys are working.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for calling in. And Jim is one of our customers, and we really, I mean, Jim's another great example. We invested in Jim, not in any bricks and mortar. We invested in his brain, what he had, his concept of people, what he does. And he has over 50 employees now that he's created by, and the I.D.A. came in with the Altec loan and helped Jim out, and we're going to help him in the future. And Jim, congratulations to being selected as business.
Now, tell us a little bit, what is Digital, for those of us who may not be familiar with it? What is it? Where is it?
Jim, are you still on?
Yeah, sure. So
I'd rather Jim answer that.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, so we're a multimedia live streaming company that broadcasts live events around the world, mostly in the association space. And so we're located here because of Chautauqua Institution. And, you know, it's kind of a difficult area to have a technology company And it's really been the I.D.A. that has stepped up and supported me for the last 15 years.
Wow.
And when I came to the county, I had 2 employees, and we're now at 52. And I just want everyone to know that, a lot of people, always have things to say about the I.D.A., but they're out there hitting the pavement every day, helping businesses grow. And I think that's something that we all need to be appreciative of in this area, because it really is something that helps small businesses grow. And those of you out there that have small businesses, don't be afraid to approach the I.D.A. They're very, very supportive of your business.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Thank you. You have a great day. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
All right, and we look
What I was
forward to
gonna
seeing
say-
everybody at the Ice Castle, so come on down.
Digitel was just selected as Jamestown's Business of the Year by the Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce, so that's what I was congratulating Jim
Oh,
for.
wow.
Yes.
Great. Good for you. Okay. So those are the kinds of things and success stories that we do have. And I think a lot of that, and what I've heard is that, we have to be a community of optimism. We have to believe we can make this work. I remember, when Ronald Reagan was in office and he said, be happy.
Yeah.
And that's the way we are. We have to find a way to pull ourselves up and make it work, because this area has gone through a lot. We've lost a lot of the manufacturing, and it's been not devastated, but it certainly has been hurt over the last 20 or 30 years, and we need to do something.
It's very easy to get down, especially in the Dunkirk-Fredonia area that has lost so many great jobs, so many manufacturers that have pulled out or downsized. It's really, you can see how people get down, and then people talk and they're down. But we're going to have some great successes in Dunkirk in the very near future. Another is Michelle is working on developing the waterfront, truly taking the waterfront, working with the incumbent owners there in the city of Dunkirk. And we have an investor that wants to go from Stefan's all the way down past the Clarion, and I'll let Michelle speak on that a little bit, and that will jumpstart. That'll be a lightning rod.
Right, well,
to get to
and
Dunkirk.
we have the Harbor Center in Barcelona, and now Dunkirk and the seawall and the recreation stuff there. So go.
We're still in the planning stages of a lot of it, but one thing that amazes me is I never really paid attention to it until I started working with the I.D.A. But the waterfront up there is just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
You don't think you're in Chautauqua County. It's amazing, and there's so much potential there. And if we can make this one thing happen, which I'm pretty confident we can, it's one of those, if you build it, they will come. And all that's going to do is it's just going to draw more businesses and more people and more jobs and employment and dollars to the area. And
we're talking restaurants, condominium type living, retail in this area. This is what this investor is doing. He sees it. He sees Lake Erie there.
Right.
And
he knows he can draw from Canada and Buffalo.
And he's very successful at what he does. And the I.D.A. has been working very closely with the incentives that we can give him. And we'll be meeting with New York State also.
Well, this has really been great news, and when I think about what you've done and what you're doing, it really is encouraging to me as a taxpayer and as a resident of the county. I mean, I think that this is wonderful, and I'd like to see more activity, more people getting involved, more people calling. I'd like to have your staff doubled, because I think the more we have, the better it's going to be.
And I'm working at building a foundation. As I said, I came out of retirement, so the fun part is my daughters are educated. I don't have to, I'm doing this because I have a passion for it, and I've lived here for 25 years. But I come from private industry, privately held companies, and we were always driven by success, but driven by data, driven by metrics. How do we know if we're doing a good job? Right. And when I first came out with the I.D.A. and planning I'd say, how do I know if I'm doing a good job? I mean, where can we measure something? And there were some. So I developed a balanced scorecard that I brought to the county executive, and I brought to the county legislator. I said, here, I'm putting this out here, and we measure unemployment, employment, sales tax dollars, the tax base. The more houses that we have, and taxes will go down. We cannot continue to raise taxes. So that is. So I've created this scorecard. It's out. You can see it. It will be on the PlanningChautauqua.com, which is the county planning economic development webpage. It will be put up there next week. I will be reporting quarterly on our successes, and so we have to be successful because I have to drive sales tax dollars. I got to, I'm thinking my job is to lower taxes and to make, and not only make Chautauqua County a place where people want to come and live, but can afford to live. I have 3 daughters that live in Erie County. I would love them to come back here. I mean, it's cost prohibitive compared to the type of homes that, and they're 30 years old and 25 and they like Buffalo living. But
well, we need to change some of that.
This balanced scorecard is, I brought planning and economic development together with the I.D.A, 2 separate organizations. And I realize you mentioned, have more people to get out there. I've brought these 2 groups together to work together. They still remain totally independent. We've worked together to put the scorecard together, these metrics. The I.D.A is going to report. I report to my board of directors on our successes with these metrics, and I will share them with you. I'm excited about it. So when it's out there and you see that, yes, something's up, something's down, then you can react to it properly. Just as, bring Michelle in, and, okay, what kind of jobs do we bring here? It's all data-driven. And that's the way you run a business. So I'm kind of bringing it to, okay, I only have so many employees. I have some accounting. I have I.D.A. We're all coming together. We're going to be one team here, and it's working. It's energized.
Well, you talk about tourism and bringing things in, and of course in Silver Creek there is the conversation about the water park and the hotel, and what is the status? I haven't heard nothing about that in a while. Is there anything happening down there?
Yeah, that's a project that's the investor had interest in the hospital there. So I mean, there's only so much money for investment. He owns the land where he would build this hotel with a splash park. He's done a lot of environmental work there. It's been, but is not quite ready to move forward. But I believe he will move forward.
Okay, so we still see that as a
potential,
as something going on.
And I'm glad you bring that up. So the part of the tourism, we have a lot of hotels. Webbs are going to be building their fractional condominiums. When I first took the job and was working with a hotel owner from Dunkirk, he said to me something that stuck. He says, build it and they will come. Every time I build a hotel, even if it's next to a hotel I own, the older hotel does more business and the new is successful. We have a hotel going up at Route 80 on 86 coming into Jamestown off of 86 and 60. In Celeron, a major developer from Erie County has bought that property. It's been cleared to put a big hotel looking straight down Lake Erie. I mean, that's huge. And it's taxes, but it's creating jobs to build it and to maintain these places. And that's just all stimulating our economy. And these aren't small these are great first-class hotels that are being built, right on the water of Lake Chautauqua. That's investment. That's people believing in what we're doing in Chautauqua County.
Yeah. My only concern, I say I want people to be positive and optimistic, and I'm going to throw in a negative here. Hotel housekeepers don't make a lot of money. It's the person out there who's running the machine, who's working with the equipment, who is doing some electronic surveillance. Some of those kinds of things are the ones that are making money. And how do we get those in?
I agree, but the more dollars that we spend in the county will help us lower our taxes. So I understand, some jobs pay a lot less, but some of those jobs are for people that, for whatever, the time, the schedules fits their schedules. It's a skill level that they're comfortable with, and hopefully they can promote from within. But the more jobs, any type of jobs, is creating, people are making money, they're spending money. And as they spend money, the economy grows. And that's the way I look at that.
Right. And I agree. I think that we do need to find a balance somehow to find the balance. When Howard Zimsky was here, and he spoke at the White Inn, and he talked about all the wonderful things that were happening in Western New York, but basically the things that he was talking about really dealt with Erie County. And he said, don't worry, things will come down. You're gonna have this moving down, and I see that will happen, certainly, because that not everyone can live there. Some people want to work there, but they don't necessarily want to live there. So I see a lot of that happening. What are we doing in the way of housing And some of our houses, when I go through it, and I was just in Jamestown the day before yesterday, there are a lot of areas that we really need to spend time with and do things with and clean up. And in Dunkirk, Jamestown, all the areas have them.
Well, one of the programs that falls under Planning and Economic Development, it's a separate entity also, but was funded through an application by Mark Geis, who is the Deputy Director of Planning and Economic Development, and he applied for a grant, and it's the Land Bank.
Yes.
And these dollars, and he was successful in Chautauqua County receiving a few $1 million to take houses that could end up being demolished or being foreclosed on, or right before they're buy it at the bank and then going in and take these land bank dollars, create jobs with the local workforce, and build them into homes that people can afford.
Right.
And that are safe.
And and we have that in Dunkirk, and it's like through the Still, I think, also has been working with them. And so it's a rent to own.
Right.
They rent and then they have to maintain, and after so many years they're able to buy or to own the home.
I mean, we do have a long road in front of us when it comes to that. But again, part of it is we have to attract people to come here. We don't want, so many times people have not been able to sell their house. People become of retirement age, can't sell their house. They want to retire to Arizona or Florida. They end up renting their houses, so, and they're, may become absentee landlords.
Right.
It's not good. We need to be able to, the more people that are coming here because people want to live here, but they can afford to live here and have jobs here, that will help fix this problem.
What about the incubator? Fredonia State has the incubator in Dunkirk, and so have we seen a lot of progress or a lot of promise coming out of there?
Yeah, I have a lot of hope. The I.D.A., when I first came on board, contacted the Kevin Kearns, who is vice president of the college, and asked him if we could maybe share some space over in the incubator and let the I.D.A. and Planning and Economic have a presence over in the North County. We had a small office over there next to City Hall. The incubator's a beautiful building, so we've moved in there. So, I mean, we're there, I.D.A. We have 2 offices. Planning Economic Development is there. We have a presence. Startup New York, they are being as proactive as they possibly can to, I see Startup New York as for newer businesses that do not compete with other businesses, and the incubator is a perfect spot for them to come and use the incubator. I mean, if you think about, they can use interns from the college.
Yes.
What a great way to hire employees, to have interns come work for you. It's a 6-month interview process, basically. So
right.
I have a lot of good feelings about the incubator and being successful under the new leadership of Kevin Kearns.
Okay. One of the things that I have heard is that you're very proactive, and I believe that to be true based on what I've seen and when talking with you and what I've read. And I think that's a good thing. I think that we need to maintain that. In the few minutes that we have left, what would be your message to the residents and taxpayers of Chautauqua County, both north and south, on both lakes, that might give them some hope to once again, being able to find living wage jobs in the area? Feeling like yes, I can come here, I can bring my kids back here. My kids now who have moved away can come back and raise their kids because they can afford it. What would be the thing that you'd want them to know?
My message is, and there is no silver bullet. It's not going to happen overnight, but I believe what we have under the leadership of the county executive, under County Executive Horgan, the leadership under the county legislator, they are working together. I mean, they are truly working together. Most resolutions get passed unanimously. I mean, good, positive things are happening there. This didn't happen overnight. I mean, Dunkirk did. When I came to work at Altec Specialty Steel, it was Allegheny and Ludlam. There's several thousand employees. And I went to work in 1978 for Altec, and now I manage the Altec Fund. One of the reasons I took this job, I said, there's a little serendipity here. There's something going on. Why am I going to be managing this fund that has been so successful over the past 38 years, 39 years of creating jobs? It was formed in '76. It was the first of its kind in the country. It was a $10 million grant given to the investors, which were the employees, management of Altec, to form their own bar and rod division of Allegheny Ludlam. And since then, the way that loan is paid back is you loan the money out, and the I.D.A. manages that. You loan it out to businesses that are going to create jobs. And it's been extremely successful. And I say again, call the I.D.A. If you have a business, if you need, financial support, start with the I.D.A. because we have a lot of tools in our toolbox.
And you have a website.
We do. We have, it's ccida.com. And we also have a website called planningschautauqua.com. I would direct anyone to both those websites. And as I said before, my balanced scorecard is going to be out there. I'm going to, here it is. If I'm doing a good job, if I'm not doing a good job, at least everybody will know there's nothing to hide.
Well, now you came out of retirement, so I hope you're going to be here for a while. You're not going back in right away. Yeah. And Michelle, it sounds like you're just doing, really a great job with the marketing, with the efforts, the kinds of things that you're bringing in, the Champions Tour.
I'm having fun. I'm meeting a lot of great people, making new connections every day, and it's just great for Chautauqua County. And I think what you'll see in the next 60 days in our local news resources, TV, newspaper, whatnot, you're going to start, I think we're going to be more proactive letting the community know of our successes and what we've got going on. So I think you'll just, one of those stay tuned.
The culture that we've changed is, I went from project managers to business development managers in between the departments. And that sends a message. We're going out and we're going to attract.
Now you have the website. Can you tell us again, what is the website?
The website is ccida.
ccida, okay.
.com. And the other one, the county website is planningschautauqua.com.
Okay. All right, very good. And so it should be on the screen. Well, you all have just been absolutely awesome. I really appreciate everything that you've done. I think that what's going on in the county is significant, and we are coming along. It is slow, like you say. You eat an elephant a bite at a time, and those are the kinds of things that are happening. One last question I have regards Welch's. When I spoke with Mr. Vanderbilt from Westfield, he talked about Welch's, and of course, while we still have some minimal operations there, do you see anything happening with that?
Goes back to tourism. There's an investor that's looking to put a hotel there, possibly, that Michelle is working with. And it's this hotel right here. As a possibility, and continue to work to bring office-style jobs. And maybe you break that building into like a condominium. So instead of having one big office, it's the same thing with the Cliffstar office building. Instead of having a home for 120 employees, maybe you have 10 condominium-type offices. And I think that's the future of the county, smaller, more of them.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, once again, I want to thank Doc Hamels for allowing me to guest host. Hopefully he's having a great vacation and missing the snow. And Kevin and Michelle, thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure having you here and speaking with you and finding out what's going on with the county. I know that you're all working very hard, and you'll continue to do that.
Thank you, Vicki.
So you're quite welcome.
Thank you very much, and we look forward to coming back and visiting with you again maybe in 6 months and reviewing my scorecard, our scorecard.
Okay. And I just have one little final question. I had made a comment that economic development talks about moving things, transitioning from an agricultural-based economy into one that's more industry-based. And when I said that, I really took some heat about that because they said, wait a minute, that was 25, 30 years ago. But industry means, in my opinion, whether it is the internet, whether it is
the Jim
Parker.
Exactly.
Those are industries, and those are things that we need to be doing. So I'm really happy to
but the agriculture is still a big piece. Look at our wine trails. Look what's happening with our wine trails. I mean, that's all economic growth.
Yes.
And it's all right here in Chautauqua County.
And it is, and we have all the various, the wineries and the wine tasting and all the things that go on. And in the summertime, people come here for their corn and their tomatoes, and so we need to keep that, and we need to protect it and make sure that we still have it. We just need to find a way to join all of the pieces, all of the pieces of the puzzle together. So. I really appreciate your time, and I think that you've given us some good information. I'm looking forward to see what comes into the ConAgra sites and the hotel and what happens on the harbor and the lakefronts in Chautauqua. Thank you, and have a great day. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Michelle.
It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.